Hey guys, it's Renee Nicole and welcome back to my channel. And just to recap why I'm here to take the overwhelm and frustration out of digital marketing by providing easy to follow tips, advice, and tutorials on creating content that connects with your audience and funnels that convert. So just to recap, last week we talked about the 3 basic things that you need to have in place before you even think about creating your funnels. And if you just check the link above, you will get a link to that previous video. Okay, so you want to check that out before we move on to part 2, which is systems. That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, the systems that you need to have in place for your funnels to actually work. Okay, so what you're going to have to think about is the fact that if you're communicating with an audience, if you're selling a product or a service, you're going to make a claim, right? And in order to be able to back up that claim, then you need to have certain systems in place. Okay, and if you don't have those things in place, if things are lacking or things are missing or the systems are faulty, then you're not going to get the kind of results or response that you want from your customers. Okay, so the 3 things that you need to think about are the customer experience, what kind of relationship you want to have with your customer. Then you're also going to have to think about production and delivery. And even if you have a service-based business, you still have to think about how you're going to produce the service and how you're going to deliver the service. And then the last thing you're going to have to think about is admin. Now, I know a lot of us as business owners, we don't really like to deal with the whole admin thing, but it's still something that you need to consider because it is part of your business and there is an admin aspect to having your customer go through your funnel. Okay, so let's dive into the first one, which is the customer experience. Now you need to have a system in place to deal with interacting with someone even before they become a customer. Okay, so you might want to use some kind of customer relationship management system, which is a system that you set up where you track and automate the process of someone reaching out to you or you reaching out to someone and how they progress through the process of actually becoming a customer in your business, right? So you would want to set up a system where you reach out to them maybe a certain number of times, maybe you deliver certain things to entice them into becoming a customer, and then when they actually agree to become your customer, then you have to think about what is the onboarding process? What kind of documents you need to send to them? Is there a contract involved, for example? Is there anything else that they need to do to be able to, before they become a customer? And then when they are a customer, what are the things that you need to send out to them to actually deliver the service, right? In terms of the customer experience, you also have to think about things like how do you handle customer inquiries? How do you handle customer feedback? How do you handle things like complaints, or if they want a refund, how are you going to process that? You also have to think about things like when you are communicating with them, what kind of email marketing system that you want to use to, deliver the information about your product or service. And you also want to think about how it is you want them to contact you. So do you want them to just be able to contact you via email? Do you also want to include a phone contact? Do you want to, is there a process for them contacting you by phone? Or do you want to use some kind of conferencing software like, Zoom or Skype or something like that? Also in terms of, especially if you're a service-based business owner, how it is you want them to make appointments with you to for you to actually either maybe schedule a discovery call or for them to have, like, let's say a strategy session or whatever session that is part of the package if it involves one-on-one coaching or consulting. All right, so the second thing that you have to think about is the production and delivery, and it's how you create the product or the service and deliver that product or service so that it's done in a consistent way every time. So is there a framework that you use to deliver your service to customers? Is there a process that you use? Is there a system that you have in place so that you consistently deliver the same thing every time, no matter who the person is, all right? So do you have things like standard operating procedures? And I know that sounds like super boring, but basically, if you do something more than 3 times, you should be able to create a standard operating procedure, and you should be able to automate or semi-automate the process in some way. So I'll probably do another video breaking down, how you develop standard operating procedures and how you can automate certain things. But basically think about, okay, I've been in business for this length of time. I've been doing these sets of services. How exactly, what it is do I do with my customers each and every time, consistently, repeatedly, that to deliver this product or service, right? So if you have a service-based business, or if you sell digital products now, you also want to think about how it is they're going to access the products. How you're going to give them access to what it is they paid for. So is it via a course, a course site, or is it via a membership site? If it's like one-on-one coaching or consulting, how are they going to get access to you? Do you send them a link to be able to have a conference call with you after they make a payment? Those are all the things that you consider, and those are all processes that you can automate. You do not have to be manually doing these things, okay? So you have to think about the entire process, from how you get their attention, how you nurture the relationship with them, how you deliver what it is you promise. If it's some kind of incentive initially, how you're going to deliver that. And also when they actually do come on board and work with you, how it is you're going to onboard them, what kind of information you need from them, what kind of information you need to give them. And then when you actually come to delivering the product or the service, how it is they're going to access it or access you. If it's a case where, you're doing, as I said, doing a one-on-one service. All right. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is admin. No, it's not fun, but it is absolutely necessary. So these are, this is more related to business operations, but it is still a part of your funnel, because it is something that there are a lot of operational aspects, because it does contribute to, the running of your business. So you have to consider things like what financial systems you have in place. For example, invoicing, payment, taking orders and payment processing. How are you going to process those payments? Do you want to process payments automatically? What kind of payment processor you want to use? How you're going to manage customer information and, like document management. How you're going to give customers access to that information, where you're going to store that information. How are you going to destroy or get rid of that information? Do you need to hold it for a certain amount of time before you get rid of it? All those kind of things. You also have to look up the legal aspects in terms of contracts. If you have, whether you have a product or service, what is the contract related to that? What is the agreement that you and the customer have in order for you to be able to deliver that product or service to them, and what kind of recourse they would have if some kind of problem arises. You have to look at things like trademarks. If you have a trademark for a process or a product, how you are covered legally. You have to look at disclaimers. And of course, in terms of marketing communications, you need to look at things like the GDPR if you're in the UK and Europe. And you have to also be very aware of CAN-SPAM laws, because you really don't want to be running afoul of those regulations. So you have to think about all those not so fun things that revolve around operating your business, and also setting up and setting up your funnels, and as the customer goes through your funnel, all those communications that need to take place, and all the things that need to be delivered to them, right? So just to recap, the 3 things that you need to think about: what the customer relationship and the customer experience is going to be like, what systems you need to have in place for that. The second thing is the production and the delivery of your product or service. What systems do you have in place to actually put together your product or service, and then actually deliver what it is you promise to the customer. And then the last thing is the admin, in terms of managing the client's information, communicating with them, and actually, processing, um, sorry, how you organize and interact with them, and how do you continue the smooth running of your business and the smooth operation of your funnel through the admin tasks that are related to that. Okay, so I hope this was informative. I hope that this made it a little bit clearer as to the second set of things that you need to consider in terms of, before you build a funnel, what systems it is you have in place to be able to carry your customer through the funnel, and to be able to eventually, when they do become a customer, what it is you need to have in place to be able to deliver your product or service to them. Okay, so thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so that you can get more video tips, tutorials, and advice about making digital marketing for your business simpler and easier to understand. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.